Parents of Reddit, what did you find in your kid's room that you put back and never discussed with them? I wasn't snooping. I was helping him organize all his collections of stuff when he was in high school. I came across an old metal cookie tin filled with paper scraps. He'd apparently torn off every "good job" and "nice work" comment he's ever gotten from his teachers, as well as all of the happy birthday and love yous from all his cards. I realized how important those tangible affirmations are to him, so I've made it a point over the last 15 plus years to write things down in addition to telling him. He's got pretty severe anxiety, depression, and PTSD, and I'd like to think that if I'm not with him, one of those little pieces of paper might help him get through whatever he's dealing with. When I was 9-ish, my mom got me a light-up handheld back massager. I was obsessed with it. It looked like something space-age and did wonders on my neck and back. My older teenage sister stole it from my room one day and I noticed it on her nightstand. She wouldn't give it back and I told my mom she stole it, but mom just said, "Just let her have it." 20 years later and I finally understand. Condoms. Never ever take the condoms. My friend's dad found her contraceptive pill and threw it away. She was pregnant within 6 months. In high school, my mom decided to clean my room as a nice gesture. She found my vibrator under my pillow. I got a text, "Guess you're too old for me to surprise with cleaning your room." Okay, under the pillow seems to be a pretty common hiding spot based on this thread. It also clearly doesn't work. PSA to anyone currently doing this: find a different spot. I'm the kid, but once my girlfriend accidentally left her undies under my bed. Every so often when I'm away for an amount of time, my mom will clean up my room and do some washing. When I got back one time, I found her undies washed with mine and left for me to put away in my room. She's never mentioned it to me. When I was 10, my brother was 12, we were staying the weekend at our grandpa's house way out in the country. I found a cock ring in the bathroom, and being 10, I obviously had no clue what it was, so I showed it to my brother. He told me what it was and we ran outside in the middle of the night and chucked it into the woods because we panicked. Thankfully, Grandpa never asked about his missing cock ring. I love kid logic. Sex stuff? Chuck it into the woods. Not a parent, but my dad moved to a new apartment after I shipped to boot camp. When I got back home on boot leave, he was showing me around his new apartment, and he just casually mentioned, "Your pocket pussy is in that drawer, by the way." An entire nightstand drawer full of used feminine hygiene products. I wanted to ask why, but I felt like any conceivable answer would just beckon more questions. I did something similar once. My family, except for my mother, made fun of me every time I had my period. It was absolute hell every month. They basically dismissed any opinions or emotions I expressed, so I tried to hide it from them as much as possible. When my mother went away on a trip for work, they would have known it was me throwing them in the trash, so I kept them in a plastic bag in my room instead. Anyways, your kid could feel self-conscious about throwing their feminine hygiene products out in the trash, or may just have not known how they were supposed to deal with it. Assuming that the products were used by your kid and that they aren't just keeping someone else's products. Was looking for my vibrator that mysteriously disappeared from my drawer. Looked in the teenager's room, not there. Went to my 5-year-old's room and there it was sitting on top of his dresser, in all its glory. I was too scared to ask anyone how my lightsaber got there, so just took it back and hid it in my room. I'm the child in this story. I was about 10 or 11 and feeling really guilty for being a horrible person. Silly kid stuff. I don't remember exactly what. Maybe it was as simple as not saying I love you enough. I felt I had to atone somehow, so I started writing, "I love you, Dad, love you, Mom, love you, Sister 1, love you, Sister 2, and did it over and over, almost like the lines you'd get as punishment in school. I did a full page and then completely forgot about them. My room was very messy and my parents didn't enforce me to clean it. Silly of them. In my defense, I most likely have undiagnosed ADHD, but that's besides the point. What is the point is that it may have been months later or even years later, but I found that piece of paper again, and I was cringing for having written it. But at the bottom in my dad's handwriting was one final line. "We love you too." Not a parent, but found a note in my brother's room talking about killing my cat. But did you have a cat? Not anymore. We had to move our kid out of a bad living situation. She wasn't in any condition to help. So wife and I go in and just start grabbing her stuff. We come across her adult baby fetish gear. Like 2 duffel bags of it, giant onesies, binkies, diapers, etc. Wife looked at me, I looked at her. We shut each bag and have never spoken of it again. My son is a very talented artist. While cleaning his room, we found a drawing that he'd done as sort of a 3-part comic strip. First panel, there was a pretty girl wearing bib overalls, the kind with the straps over the shoulder. Second panel, one of the strap buttons popped loose and the strap was flying back over her shoulder as the overalls started to fold down. Third panel, the girl, breast exposed, had a perfect look of surprised embarrassment on her face. The reason we didn't say anything was because he was a pretty shy 11-year-old, and we didn't want him to stop drawing by embarrassing him. I regret not taking a picture of it, though, because it was really impressive artwork for a kid. I was laying peel and stick tiles in our bathroom, and found a couple of mild nudie mags hidden under the big package of TP. At about that time, youngest son came home and was a bit panicked, but never said anything at the time. I made sure to place the magazines back when I was done tiling. I showed them to my wife, and joked that I should have substituted granny gang bangs, or similar. I still regret not doing it. When I was a kid, I stockpiled dozens of those mags under my basement couch over the course of a few years. I eventually forgot about them, until one day when my dad asked me to help him move the furniture in the basement. That was a bit awkward. My grandma found a dildo I didn't like, brought it upstairs to show my mom and laugh, and then suggested she regift it to me in front of my whole family on Christmas morning. My grandma is savage AF, and I'm lucky to have a sliver of her humor. I was around 14 and ordered a book online about sex back when they just sent you anything if you promised you were over 18 and would pay for it later. 1996 IRC. This was no regular book. It was nearly 500 pages. A leather-bound holy grail of sex. My father or mother found it one day under my bed and I thought I would be in so much trouble. But they never said anything. A few weeks later, I go looking for it, and under their bed, I find my book, a printed-out copy of the Anarchist Cookbook, and a VHS of Heavy Metal. I took it all, and nothing has even been said about it to this day. When my late husband was 21, and we'd been dating for a year, he had an MRI for something concerning, and then went back to work, leaving his worried about his MRI mom from up north, who was just there for his medical stuff, in his apartment alone with nothing to do. So she cleaned. A lot. When he came home, his normally messy room was spotless. His bed was freshly made with the Bible he'd gotten at his church confirmation atop the pillow, and on top of that, a condom wrapper that must have made its way under the bed in our haste. In his closet, his once hidden Playboy cheerleaders VHS tape was now quite prominently displayed on a shelf. She never said a word to him about anything. She shot dagger eyes at me next time she saw me, though. Oh no, adults doing the sex? How vulgar. Seriously, how are humans so bizarre about this? Literally every single person you meet exists in front of you now because of someone having sex. Not the parent, but the kid whose dad went through my room looking for something else. I was going through some really awful depression. I was 21 at the time, and used alcohol as my medicine, and I had stashed a bunch of bottles in my room. I'd hide them, and also my parents never ever went into my room, so I wasn't too worried about it. I came home from my friend's house one day, and he had all of the bottles out for me to see. I instantly felt sick inside. My dad had me go upstairs and talk to him about it, and instead of being angry at his young adult kid drinking the way I was, he told me how sad he felt that I was going through something all alone. I ended up going to rehab and learned how to live my life sober. I ended lots of relationships that were pulling me down. I may not even be here today if we never had that conversation. Also, I'm so very thankful for him. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.